You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the 3rd time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
Achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
And welcome into the program, ladies and gentlemen, and as I've been opening the show with for a while now, I am so sorry, President Reagan, we failed you. But we're here. We're still trying. I don't know how much longer we can keep trying. Anyway, so we're here. We're live. It's the Jen and Rick Show. It's Thursday night here on KLR Radio. I'm one half of the crew, Rick. She's the other half, Jen. And I almost flipped our names around, which would have been weird.
I mean, whatever.
Hey, that was yesterday. Just kidding.
Yeah. I'm Rick. She's Jen. He's Jen.
Yeah, I actually did that on the morning show with
Hey,
Stacey.
that'd be very inclusive. It's fine.
I did that on the morning show with Stacey once. She's like, you just said you were me. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I haven't had my coffee yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so unless you've been living under a rock, it's been a fun news day. I'm just saying.
A little bit. I mean, all y'all that just been watching the clouds roll by, good for you, because other shit's been popping.
I never expected the DA of Fulton County to LARP Colonel Jessup on live TV, but she kind of did.
Fair.
I'm not the one on trial here as she's going through her misconduct hearing. You kind of are. It's a hearing, not a trial, but still, it's kind of them determining how badly you screwed up, because they already know you have. Now they're just trying to figure out how badly you screwed up. And the worst thing is, I mean, and this is something that I don't talk about often, but, I've had, years of experience with questioning people, figuring out who's lying, who's telling the truth. And she was setting off bells and whistles for me all day today, because I'm like, if you are in the right, you don't come into a room that pissed off. You just don't, because you already know you've got everything. You already know that you're in the right, so there's no reason for you to be coming in that hot and heavy. And for her, like, the nostrils flaring and the eyes bulging and the waving of the papers, and I'm just like, dude, you are laying this on way too thick. And then she starts getting into things, and I don't even think she's realized exactly how badly she has potentially torched her legal career, because she just went off on a tirade and basically admitted to campaign finance fraud. I don't think she's realized it, because there's an express statute in Georgia state law that says you can't keep campaign funds for yourself or use them for anything that's not related to your campaign. So, and she just admitted that she did that under oath. I don't know if anybody's going to do anything with it, because, who the hell knows. But yeah, this was not a good day for Team Biden and their whole lawfare thing that they seem to have going on. Now, there was some good news as far as they're concerned, because one of the trials is about to move forward. I guess it's being set for like March 25th or something. But you know, I don't know. I don't even know why we're still here. I mean, the president was basically just proven unfit like over a week ago, and if it wasn't for like Groundhog Day, I just feel like, you know, this is yet another no good, horrible, terrible, very bad week for Joe Biden again. Because it just seems like every day there's something new. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's kind of making it hard for me to do a daily show because the news is the same every day.
Yeah. Well, like I was telling you, you know, off air, you know, I know a lot of people were going like, what the hell? Like, this is chaos. They're just allowing them to say whatever, and it just goes on, and there's no, like, restraint given by the judge on these lawyers or on these testimonies and whatever. And, you know, I was reminded by my best friend that's a pretty dang good lawyer that she was like, you know, if y'all were privy to just the random hearings at any given time, y'all would all be shocked, because this is kind of how that goes. It doesn't always have to go this way, but like a lot of times there are ways in which this kind of goes. Like they, you know, it's not a more strict legal proceeding like a trial or even a deposition or something. So this. They do tend to give a lot more leeway than they would in any other kind of situation. So it does seem very like willy-nilly to all of us, but it's not necessarily that off base from how a lot of times hearings can go. It's not like objection and this and that and like, no, don't let that. There's not a lot of that.
Well, the other thing is, court isn't always what it's made to look like on TV either, because different cities and states have different jurisdictions. So, I mean, I understand some of that. I just think, I mean, when you can, and I knew it was the judge, when you can audibly hear the judge sighing over and over and over again, I just kept waiting for somebody to say, fuck it, y'all are in contempt, get out of my courtroom. But yeah, I mean, it was just, I mean, so first of all, if the IRS doesn't audit these two before this is all over, then I don't know why we just paid for 87,000 new IRS agents. Because, and this again was something that if you just file a 1040 and you don't know how, you know, things go when you are part of a business or you're a named partner in a law firm, which also means you're part of a business, or you have your own side practice, which he did too, then you're listening to this guy whine, bitch, moan, and complain about the fact that he exceeded his contractual billable hours. So he's like, I'm looking at this invoice and it makes me want to cry. I'm like, dude, you get to write that shit off. Everybody that knows anything about tax law knows that you make bank anytime you go over your billable hours because the government pays you back. But they may not now because he's on the stand. Like the opposing counsel attorney's like, okay, so you put these trips on your business credit card and then she paid you back in cash. And he's like, yeah. And then she said, and you put this on the business credit card? And he's like, yeah. He says, I put everything on the business credit card. And then I send the receipts to my accountant, and then they determine what can be either written off as a business expense or what is personal. For people making that kind of money, commingling your business and your personal finances is usually an automatic audit. So I'm kind of surprised that hasn't happened yet. But, yeah, what do I know?
Well, but we wouldn't know if it did. You know what I mean? Like, it may have happened. They're not going to tell us that.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure with as big of a name as these two have in the news right now, if either one of them had been audited, we would probably know about it by now. But it probably will be happening now, because that's the other thing that I found absolutely delicious about this whole thing. So he's like, yeah, I paid for it. She paid me her parts back in cash. And this is, again, something else where if we weren't in a hearing, I kept waiting for the attorneys to pounce, and they never did. Because at one point, she was like, oh, yeah, I paid him most of it back through Cash App. And then she was like, there were like 2 or 3 times that I gave him cash. And then like 5 minutes later, she's like, no, it was mostly cash. And then the opposing counsel attorney's like, so you have receipts, you have record books, you have something proving that, you reimbursed him for these things. And she's like, well, no. And she's like, so you have absolutely no proof. And then she's like, well, one witness's testimony can be proof, and you have two. Like, that's not really how that works, but nice try. And you just shot yourself in the foot when you were busily trying to impeach your friend who said you guys were fucking since 2019, and she knew it, by calling her a liar. So which one is it? Can a witness prove facts, or do facts have to prove facts? Because I'm kind of confused.
Yeah, and typically, with two witnesses saying the same thing is corroborating, evidence, but
yeah, unless they're banging. Yeah, you're right. Normally, it's kind of the same thing from Scripture, where two or more are together and agree. That's kind of where the whole corroboration thing comes from, but not when you're boinking. Kind of throws that out the window. And this doesn't even have anything to do with the trial. I think my overall two favorite moments didn't even have anything to do with legalese or anything that was going on with the trial. It was when she started calling the dude that she was apparently banging since at least 2019 a misogynist. And I'm like, she's like, yeah, he's one of those guys that thinks the only thing a woman should really do for him is make him a sandwich. Like, did she really just say that? she really just said that. Dude, you were like intimate with this guy. And now you're just, really? But then the other thing is, when the whole 2019 thing came up again, she's like, well, that would be impossible, because at that point he had a cancer diagnosis, and it would have made what you're implying possible and the impossible. And the attorney's like, well, what do you mean? She's like, well, I'm not gonna try to emasculate a black man, but I'm like, you kind of just did. Right. You kind of just did. So yeah, today was fun. And then, yeah, Rex already beat me to the punch on our next topic, too. Rex, nerd. He's like, y'all saw that that Herb wasn't even the one that brought up Beau Biden, right? And that it was in his words, the Nazi himself that did it. But yeah, that's kind of where the Biden lied part of the show came from, because that'll be something we get into a little bit later. Because dude is just, and a tweet today that I found absolutely hilarious, because he's like, people who fail to stand up for Ukraine right now, this will not be forgotten. I'm like, yeah, it will. You won't remember you said it 5 minutes from now.
Well, there is that, but also I love that they say that about Ukraine and are absolutely chicken shit to say it about Israel.
Well, they have to say it about Ukraine. Because, and the funny thing about all of this is it all ties together, and it all kind of goes back to something that we've known about since 2016, and there's video proof that we know about it because he's admitted to it on tape, and the GOP thought they had a smoking gun. Well, the FBI, which I no longer trust those skirt-wearing folks any further than I could throw them, has arrested the GOP supposed informant for, I guess, supposedly lying under oath about Joe Biden and Hunter Biden receiving a $5 million bribe from somebody either within Burisma or within the Ukrainian government to get rid of the prosecutor. The problem with that is, even if Joe didn't get a bribe, he's on tape admitting he did it. So I don't really understand what they think they're fixing here. Because we have the video and the audio admitting that he did it. Donald Trump was impeached over a phone call intimating that he was going to do that. Joe Biden actually threatened to legitimately do it while in the country in 2016 as a vice president. If you're telling me that a president can't say, well, we're not going to give you this funding, why the hell can a vice president do it? Why was it okay when he did it? Why was it not okay when... Because here's the other part of this that the left never wanted to talk about. What Trump was trying to find out about, at least from everything that I've been able to see when I started digging around in it, was he was trying to get the information about what actually happened between the Biden family and Burisma and that prosecutor. And that's when the Democrats lost their shit. But, I mean, this stuff, it's like there's just this swirling whole thing of bullshit, because now we found out that since 2015, 2016, the CIA was trying to entrap members of the Trump campaign team that they felt were easily swayable or malleable because they weren't used to running in these circles. And that's what they used to send information to the FBI to trigger the whole wiretaps and everything else. So, and this is the part that is driving me crazy with everybody that's like, well, there's no proof that they did anything in 2020. I'm like, dude, they have been conspiring against the entire country since 2015. So you really think it's out of the realm of possibility that they stuck their fingers on scales in 6 cities that wound up basically flipping 6 states in the EC? I don't. I've seen enough even anecdotal proof of that, because we've never seen anything like what happened in the 2020 elections before. And now we have all this stuff coming out where the CIA basically flipped the script, because there's actually a memorandum, and there's now a theory that maybe that's why they were so hot and heavy to raid Mar-a-Lago, because they were afraid Trump had a copy of it that actually shows that, according to the CIA, in 2015, Putin wanted Hillary to win, not Trump. And he's actually been recorded with both Hillary and Biden saying that they're more malleable and more controllable. Trump was an unknown factor. So, I don't know who to believe anymore. I'm just ready to burn it all down and start over, because I don't trust anybody anymore.
I mean, if you think about it, because of the way that Democrat president would typically have to appease their far leftist base, you could see how that would be, less attractive for someone like Putin. I kind of disagree about the Hillary thing. I mean, I'm sure it's something he said, and maybe it would or would not be true, but like, Hillary was one of the more likely to be war hawks of the Democrats than, pretty much anybody else that has been in the running in the last few years. So but that doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't think that they could sway that. Based on how the leftist base has gone insufferably left, and that they have to listen to and appease them to a certain extent. That the AOCs are always going to be yelling. The squad is going to always be yelling at things. And even though they shouldn't matter a whole lot, they are loud and they are boisterous and they get attention and they get media coverage. And so therefore they have to be listened to a little bit. And that's the predicament Democrats have put themselves in with some of these, with dealing with the part of their base that has pushed extreme far left, and then not just that, but then having people be elected that also follow those far left philosophies.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only thing that I'm going to say is I get what you're saying about Hillary being a war hawk, because, I mean, the left has actually been the war hawk party for a while. There were just a few holdovers from the Republican Party that were the loudest about it, and now they're mostly gone. But you also have to remember, she was also the one behind the easy button for the reset. So I think that's kind of why Putin thought that he would have more luck keeping her under control. Not to mention the fact that nobody's really sure why they were making like $500,000 a speech in Russia. So, just saying.
There's that.
So, I mean, it's all just a mess, and it's the same thing that I've been trying to explain to everybody for forever. Look, I get nobody likes the Orange Man. Hell, I don't even like the Orange Man. I'm really tired of having to defend geriatrics. I really am. We could have had DeSantis. We should have had DeSantis, but we're not going to get DeSantis. It's more than likely going to be Biden and Trump, because there's some sort of wet dream thing going around that they're going to replace him at the convention. I don't see it happening, because everybody they've tried to kind of extend that little bit of an olive branch to is like, nope. And his vice president is less popular than he is, so that would cause a riot, I think. Because to be less popular than he is saying something.
Yeah. I also think that, like, And 100% agree about DeSantis. Anybody that has held, conservative principles, beliefs, values over the last several decades, he is just someone that is not he's not just spouted them, like he actually has taken action with them. He's got a provable record that shows he puts his money where his mouth is. And so that's part of why it's you can prefer a different candidate if you want because of certain reasons, but it's just egregious to then paint him as, some sort of rhino or not. And it's like, he's the most fucking conservative leader that we've had in ages. And, Trump tells you he's bad, so you figure out how to make him bad, which is just, it's mind boggling to me. I also think that we want to highlight that just because there was this sensational hearing going on today and that there are bad actors in the midst of all these things doesn't necessarily make the legal issues wrong or bad. Trump is still on the hook for a lot of things, even if there are bad actors in the midst of it. That of course undermines the cases to a certain extent, but it doesn't mean the cases brought weren't valid, at least to some form of letter of the law. I'm not saying they're not partisan and that they wouldn't have been brought in any other time. There's plenty that have done worse, 100%. But legally, it doesn't render them invalid. Now, I would be surprised to see a few things, at least aspects of these things, go forward when there's been such impropriety. Sometimes that does end up being just a dismissed or dropping altogether because it's just fakakta all the way around. But don't be surprised if that doesn't happen either, and they just, reassign and move on because it's not the people involved in the case are not the reason why the case is there. You know what I mean? So it's easy to get caught up in the show of it and be like, yeah, well, no, she was bought off and this was this and that was that and they did this and they slept with so and so and there was money missing, and think that makes the case overall invalid, and it doesn't. So may postpone it, and it may be dropped, but I doubt it.
I don't necessarily think it'll be dropped, but I think Fulton County's about to wash their hands of it and turn it over to the Georgia AG.
And that very well may be, and that's what I mean about there might be some downstream kind of effects from this, or even consequences. And sometimes that is what happens. The friend I was talking about earlier, she was trying a case, and it was found that a certain things, impropriety or whatever, and that person, they had a lot of evidence against this person, and they still were just like, you know what, fuck it, it's not worth our time. Now we have to fight against also the battles of this person that was involved that was not on the up and up. And so that's forever tainted this case. You know what I mean? And so it's like,
you said my favorite word
lawyer. It made her job very easy to go, okay, great, thank you, goodbye.
You said my favorite word today. I've been having a lot of fun with the word taint today.
What? But I mean, and that can happen, and they can make that, decision that even though we do have most of the facts on our side, it's not the overall look of it is not good, and so it's not worth it to have to fight that uphill battle. And not just against in the legal system, but against the public, especially if it's a publicized case. It's against the public, it's against the reputation of the prosecutor, the judge, or you know what I mean? And so they just go now no one trusts this. And so that forever in the next proceeding, their lawyers can continue to point out these things and bring them up because they are forever tied to the record of this case. And so even though none of them are involved anymore, even they were appropriately punished or whatever, it's still something that kind of can't be shook,
Yeah,
it just
Well, and that's why I honestly think it'll be.
It's like the stain is there.
Yeah, I think it'll be one of those pilot moments where whoever's in charge of that county just washes their hands of it, and then they kick it upstairs to see if the AG wants to run
And
it.
see, actually, that's something that's awesome. Not awesome, but I mean that's like something that they can do with the way that the hierarchy of, our courts and everything work, is that it is something that can be then kicked upstairs. So they can say this county isn't capable or competent or even just popular enough to be able to do this. So, hey, Attorney General, you want to take this on as a state case, you can go ahead and do that. And with the kinds of things that are being charged here, what the cases that are being brought, it could be brought in a county, it could be brought by the state, it could even be brought by the feds, so they do at least have that option to boot it and still have it taken care of in another way, but wash their hands of it.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I wouldn't be as nervous about it being kicked to the state AG if Trump hadn't been a total dick to Kemp for 8 years.
And that's a big issue too, for sure, is like how unbiased are they going to be given what they've dealt with from Trump?
And I mean,
they should be. That's their job. They should be. But will they be? I don't know. They're still human. And people are fucking petty as shit in politics and in the court of law even. So we'll see.
We saw that for 3 hours today.
Yep.
I just, I understand that it's pronounced Fani, but her parents really should have named her something else because it was like an impending prophecy. Did you see her when she was storming into that chair and she turned her butt around? I was like, oh my god.
No.
Oh my god. That woman brought the whole fucking caboose with her.
Oh, Fani. Let's just say it how Georgians would say it.
Oh
Fani.
yeah, I'm sure they probably. And I think that's why she emphasizes it so much because she's not from there. So she's like, no, it's.
She's like, it's funny.
It's funny.
Like,
like,
it's
no,
it's Fani.
It's pretty funny that you're saying it wrong, is what it is.
It's pretty funny that you're saying it's Fani and not Fanny.
Oh, but I mean that whole thing, and the worst part is it starts again tomorrow at 9. They're not even done yet. I'm like, I'm gonna have material for weeks off of just today, and there's more tomorrow.
It is wildly entertaining, and especially because, like I said, that it is a hearing and it's not a more stringent like legal proceeding. So they do let them run kind of, they just kind of go amok with it, and so you do kind of get to see a little bit more of the. It's just unrelented. Like, it's just a lot of hilarity. I mean, they're just off the rails. Off the rails. They say what they want. They do what they want. They accuse here. They say that there. And everybody's going, what the hell is this? Like, how is this happening? And like I said, like, my best friend is like, no, I mean, that's kind of hearings. That's how they go. People just talk shit. They just get to. And it's not until you have a trial or a more serious kind of proceeding that then it gets wrapped up and the judge puts reins on it. But when it's like this kind of hearing, like, no holds barred, and it can get wild. I wanted to see some of her transcripts for a while as a defense lawyer because she's like, oh my gosh, it's hilarious. Some stuff that happens, you're just like, what?
Well, I do.
You gonna let them say that in open court? And they're like, yep.
Well, I do have to warn you that you've officially been taxed now. You said off the rails. That's Sunday. Just kidding.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Find me, boss. Find me.
Oh, we need to discuss something off air. Because we actually have subscription capabilities now, so I kind of need to know what you may want to do with that.
Yes, I'm down.
Well, yeah,
if you're down, I'm down.
We need to figure out what we want to do with it, how much we want the subscription to be, that kind of stuff. So just start kind of mulling it over.
I would love to do some like bonus stuff. Oh, I also, and I know this could be, you know what, though, like our listeners are like our friends and they're great. And
we're all family.
You know, they're kind of always included. But I got a message. So Kara, that used to be, she was one of the communication directors for YAF when we got the Scott Walker interview.
Yep.
So she is now working with the Taxpayers Protection Alliance, and their president, David Williams, wants to come on the show.
Nice.
Or the executive director too. And they want to explain like some of the, she said they're really great at explaining complex fiscal issues and breaking it down for the average person. Any topics ranging from taxes, national debt, government shutdowns, FDA tobacco, vaping, all that kind of stuff, like anything that's involved in like pretty much like taxation, and fiscal things that like, especially the FDA like is involved in, but all the stuff. She's like, they can talk about everything and they're really good. When I can get them on record or like on a show or on air with anybody, they're very good at being able to break it down so the regular person can understand what they're talking about. And I was like, that sounds amazing.
Sounds like a plan.
And it's two people. It's the president and the executive director. She's like, either or. And I'm like, what if we did a 2-part, one with one and one with the other? That'd be great. So throwing that out there, but I love that we've like made contacts that continue to kind of come back around, and I think it's like a really important, especially when we're all talking about the economy and like how many trillions of dollars our government have gotten us into more debt in the last 8 years than even the previous 30. And so the Taxpayers Protection Alliance is just like one of those organizations that I think is like a little bit, it's not known enough, but is a very important organization and lobbying group that really works on behalf of the average American and should really appeal to conservatives. So that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I was about to say, what do they need? How can we help? So that works for me.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's a little bit boring. It's a little bit tedious because of the topic or the subject matter. It's not as dramatic as like, say, the hearing today was Fani. But I think for our regular listeners and people that are, engaged with us on a regular basis, like we care about this too. Yes, it's fun to make fun of Biden. Yes, it's fun to like, or it's we get enraged about certain things, but like this is one of those like underlying ongoing issues, has to do with tax paying and with the fiscal issues in this country that is absolutely affecting every single one of us every day, even though we're not even realizing it. So I think that most of our listeners and most of our people that we're engaged with and other people on KLRN are, at least for an episode or two, could turn off the entertainment value and be clocked in to something more serious like this.
Sounds like a plan to me.
Okay, cool. Here you go, guys. Live radio. I just bringing shit on air that I haven't even talked with them about yet.
It's kind of what we do. Speaking of things we haven't really talked about yet, did you see the clip I texted you from Trevor Noah?
Yes.
Because I just about
and
fell
wasn't
out of
it
my
like
chair.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm just like, wait, after hearing him saying that, I wonder if that's why they brought Jon Stewart back.
By the way, did you watch Jon Stewart?
I have not watched the whole thing, but I did watch the 8-9 minute monologue. It was amazing.
It's good. And let me tell you, so this is something that like he annoyed me towards the end of his, I always expect him to be left leaning. That's fine. But he did a pretty good job. Part of the reason why he was so popular was because for the majority of his show for the several years, he in the beginning until about the middle, yes, he was left leaning, but he definitely was still kind of hit both sides, middle of the road, make jokes at everybody's expense kind of deal. And then towards the end of it is when he got super jaded and super lefty, and it stopped being so much about that and started lecturing. He started being kind of a jerk about it, and then he was extremely left.
Yeah, but I wonder how much of that had to do with whoever was handling that show, because it's like
maybe so.
Because it's like I said, I've never heard Trevor Noah say one positive thing about Trump, and then like the second he's off that show, he's like on somebody else's show saying, "I can't believe we actually had a guy doing what what he said he was going to do, and we got rid of him. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Well, and I think you may be right there, but I think that, like, he went and, like, Jon Stewart went and did his own. First of all, he took a break, and then he came back doing some sort of, like, you know, kind of personal, like, on his own videos during COVID and, like, whatever, and he had his beard and his hair grown out, and he was like, oh, you know, whatever. A little bit more, like, unkept and, like, Jon Stewart in the wild kind of deal. I don't know. There was some sort of little, like, camping, like, I like a wilderness
Grizzly
boy
Stewart.
to it that kind of happened. What?
It was Grizzly Stewart.
Yeah. And he still stayed pretty leftist for a while. And then I think what happened is kind of like some other people, kind of like Bill Maher, he clocked, or like he really tapped that they were fucking us with the COVID bullshit. That they were lying about shit. Like, at first he was all on board, and then it was like, wait a second. And then he started kind of tapping that. And then there were a few other things and so it just started surmounting, I think, for him. And he kind of went back to his roots of being a little bit more like, fuck all the politics, fuck all the politicians. They suck. The government lies. Everybody sucks. So here's my dig at them. Here's my dig at those guys and these guys and your guys and my guys and bad guys and good guys. Like, he kind of went back in this first episode that I watched. Like, it was back to, like, the original Jon Stewart that even when I was a very conservative college student enjoyed watching his show.
Yeah. No, I mean, I used to watch that back in the day. I think, honestly, I
can also take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a leftist who needs them to completely confirm my worldview and completely confirm my bias in order for me to be able to enjoy the content.
Yeah. And,
so I've always been able to, like, take it with a grain of salt and enjoy it for what it is and take a little bit from it and then be annoyed about some of it and whatever, move on with my day. Be entertained.
But yeah.
And sometimes not just entertained, but sometimes informed. Sometimes he brought up topics on his show that weren't being widely covered in general. So it gave me some info that then I went and looked up. I didn't take his word for it, but I went and looked up and got the story on. So if he can get back to that, I mean, I think it'll be wildly successful again. I think there's a ton of Gen Z. I think there's a ton of the later millennials that will get a lot out of that. Not just those of us that are Gen X and older millennials that already experienced him and know what it can be. But I think that younger generation, I think, could benefit a lot from it if he would keep that course.
Yeah, I don't call them Gen Z anymore. I call them zebras now.
Oh, I like that.
They're black and white and confused all over.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Gen Zebra.
Oh, but I think my favorite part of that whole monologue was towards the end when he's just, like, ragging on both of them. He's like, Jesus, they're both 80 years old. He's like, do me a favor, come here. And then turns towards the other camera. He's like, no, really, come here. Get in close. Let them see what time has wrought. And then he's like, I'm 30 years younger than these fuckers. And I died.
30 years younger. He's like, I'm 30 years younger. Do not elect me for president. I am not fit to be president. I was like, it's amazing. I'll tell you what, though. I spent time with my grandmother today. We did what she calls quick ash math.
Nice.
Y'all hear that? Quick ash math.
Yeah, I got it.
And I think it's funny because she always smirks like she cussed. It's hilarious. But that woman, we had a great conversation today about things going on. She's following this hearing. She's completely liking it. And she has typically been very pro-Trump, but she's also like, she then saw like, wait, what though? Like, no, I'm pro-Trump, but like DeSantis is amazing. And he's the best conservative governor we've had in decades. What are we doing attacking him? This is not okay. And, she's still of the kind where she thinks he should have waited, and we've talked about that. And we disagree. And I'm like, no, why does Trump get to be anointed? Why does he get his third try? Why does everybody have to wait for Trump to get his third time? And she agrees. She's like, no, I understand that. And you're not wrong. Like, it is. I was like, no, because Grandma, it's not his second time. It's not his, it's his third. He lost already. So it's his third run. And then she said to me something about, like, you know, well, just remember, like, him not being a politician. I'm like, he's a politician now. He's been a politician for a decade.
Yeah, he was
elected president of the United States. He's a politician now. And she's like, yeah, I need to stop saying that. You're right. You know, but anyways, she's completely with it. We're talking about all these things. We're talking about, obviously she's like completely hates Biden and all his crap, but she also, being 91 years old, feels sorry for Biden in you know, in the way that only like a peer that has watched all of her friends and you know, relatives that were of her age, pretty much all of them are dead other than her. Very few have lived to her age. So she's watched them all die. She's watched them die from dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, you know, old age, like whatever. And like, it is just inexcusable. Like, it is so disgusting what they are doing to this man. He is not okay. And I'm like, yeah, you could be president and hold more coherent press conferences than he could. And she goes, I could, and I shouldn't be president. Like, she's sharp as a tack. There is nothing going on with her mind. Her hearing, a little hard, but her mind, all there. So, but it's one of the things, she's like, I have no business. And she has turned down being mayor in her town for almost 2 decades because she's like, I should not be. Someone younger should. I will help with the committees. I will help put out the word. I will make the flyers. I will speak before you come out on stage. I should not be. I'm too old.
Well, that's how you know she's still in her right mind, because
she's amazing. She's fucking amazing. Her town is going to crash and burn when she dies because it seriously is run by her. But I mean, she's a Catholic, so we're a Catholic church, but she also helps run the Baptist church, the Presbyterian church, and the Methodist church because they all work in a coalition. She runs all that shit. She runs the city council. She runs the gardening club. She runs the landscaping situation for the town. Like, she holiday events, the rodeo, all the things. They're going to be at such a loss. And so we've actually had to get really mad at some of the people and like call them to task or take them to task for taking advantage of her. We're like, she's not 75 anymore. She's not even 85 anymore. She's 91 with asthma and COPD. And she's had quadruple bypass and 2 broken shoulders. Surgery, extensive, all this stuff. And y'all that are 50, 60 years old are telling her to say, you know, are you gonna help? Like, are you gonna make your blah 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 meal? Are you gonna do your roast to cater the all hands meeting for blah 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 blah? And she will go out of her way and bend over backwards to feed 50 people and do all the cooking for it. And they just say, okay. I mean, Marianne does it. She's good. She can do it. And we're like, she's fucking 91, y'all. Y'all want to come to her house and help her? Sure. But or even just doing like, she's really good on her computer. It's so cute. She'll like email me stuff and be like, hey, can you help me fix this? Or I can't get this centered right. Or like, how should I blah, blah, blah. She makes the programs. She like makes all these invitations and whatever. But like, how dare they continue to rely on her to do all of that? And they'll go, well, she wants to. And I'm like, no, but she wouldn't offer to, but y'all ask her and then she's not going to say no. So we've had to start coming down on people in the town that were like, I mean, we love y'all, but like also stop taking advantage of our grandma. like,
dude,
she's 91.
She's 91.
Just invite her and let her be the person of honor. Stop having her do the shit that all of y'all are perfectly capable of doing.
Yeah,
it's infuriating. It's fucking infuriating.
Okay, so this one actually kind of stings for me a bit, being a Cowboys fan, but it's still funny. So it's a meme that got put out, and it's like Super Bowl appearances since 1996. Dallas Cowboys 0, Taylor Swift 1. You bastards. You bastards. That hurts.
I mean, I can laugh at the Cowboys jokes, but also, like, 90s Jen that enjoyed all the Super Bowl wins still dies a little inside.
Dude, the 90s rocked. And then I don't know what happened. Except for the fact
And I was a little kid. I was a little baby kid. And it was like the best.
Now you're making my heart hurt again. I keep forgetting
Oh,
how
I'm
young
sorry.
you are. You're like,
if it
I
makes
was
you
a
feel
little
any better,
bitty kid. And I'm like, dude, I graduated high school in 1992. You're killing me.
I know, but if it makes you feel any better, at least I'm 40 now. So you can't say I'm like too young.
Damn, you're 40 now?
Mm-hmm. That happened. Womp womp.
That wasn't the one I was looking for. I keep forgetting that's this one. But it don't work right now because I need to fix it. There's a loud one that says burr, burr, and for some reason it's not working.
Whatever, that one worked too. It made me laugh.
But yeah, no. Yeah, for some reason that one's called yes, and the loud one that goes burr, burr, it's supposed to be no. I'm like, but I gotta fix that one for some reason. But anyway, yeah. I mean, I knew there was I guess it's almost 11 years between us because hell, I'm gonna be 51 in May. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I knew you were about a decade older than me. I graduated in 2001, so.
I need to.
That's not that bad.
I need to actually completely retire. I think I'm getting too old. No, I'm just playing. Although I could kind of relate to Jon Stewart when he's like, I'm 30.
Stacey always gets mad at me too. She's always like, "Shut up! You are a baby." I'm not that much younger than you. I could be her and Jody. I'm like, I'm not that much younger. I could be your sister. And they're like, yeah, you could be our sister, but also we could have gotten pregnant young and had you. So it's fine. Shut up. I'm like, okay, I love y'all. You're my best friends.
But yeah, it's been a really fun news day. So another little quick hit because we're almost out of time. So, and we kind of hit on this earlier, but kind of need to go back over it again. So there is an informant that has been testifying in front of Congress regarding the Biden impeachment, who's actually worked for the FBI for decades, who's now been arrested by the FBI because apparently they're insisting that he committed perjury and submitted facts that weren't accurate because his testimony was that both Hunter Biden and Joe Biden received $5 million in payment for getting the Ukrainian prosecutor that was going after Burisma. I kept wanting to say barista for a second there. Burisma removed. So my thing with this is, and this is something that I've been saying since this video came out in 2016, it doesn't really matter if money changed hands because the vice president of the United States was in a foreign country threatening to withhold funds unless the government did what he wanted them to do and admitted to it on video. That is a million times worse than what they impeached Donald Trump for with the phone call. Because it's the same thing.
Absolutely.
But worse. And that's honestly, I think, what set them off because I think they figured out that, and this is something that, again, I've heard from, people that run in political circles here in Oklahoma that are connected to people like Langford, who I'm burning all my bridges with, by the way, and a few others that were like, well, you see, the thing is, the reason he was making that phone call was because he wanted to find out what actually happened, because he kept being told about that video, and he's like, we need to figure out what the hell happened. So I don't know because I wasn't in any of those meetings, but like I said, I am friends with somebody that actually wound up running his campaign here in Oklahoma, and his wife ran his campaign in Oklahoma in 2016. So we got to know each other pretty well over the last few years. You may know him. He's been on the radio station a few times, and I've filled in over there for him. Chad Alexander.
Familiar.
But yeah, so he interviewed Langford about 2.5 weeks ago. right before the bill was supposed to drop, and of course Langford's doing all the, well, it doesn't actually say any of that, and these people are dumb, and blah, 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 and then the bill drops, and I'm like, hey, Langford, would you like to comment? Never got
Well,
a
okay,
response.
so that's the thing about Langford. It's okay. So, like, you know, we've got our conservative Senator Cruz, and then we've got our centrist Republican rhino, if you want to call him that, but there's also ways in which he's not a rhino, so it's weird. But like our centrist Republican in Cornyn, right? But we know that. Like, we freaking know that. I feel like people were taken aback, at least on a national scale, by Langford. Like, what the hell happened, bruh?
Well, I mean, it wasn't even just at the national scale. I mean, you have to realize this guy was, you know, he was in Congress for a while. Before that, he actually ran Falls Creek for forever. So he checked all the right boxes for being staunchly conservative, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And then actually, when he was in Congress, didn't really do too terrible of a job of, you know, trying to hold the conservative line. And then now all of a sudden, in the Senate, he's just it's kind of like watching what happened to what the hell's Patch guy's name again? The guy with the eye patch in Congress.
Yeah, damn. Yeah.
Yeah, Crenshaw.
Why? Crenshaw.
Yeah,
thank you.
I went blank, so thank you. As soon as you said Dan, it connected. But anyway, it's kind of like watching what happened to him, because he went in guns blazing like he was going to fix everything. Then all of a sudden, somebody came out wearing his face saying, "We need to do this, this, and this, and this." And I'm like, "What the fuck happened to that?"
Yeah, yeah, and I will say though that, like, I totally understand the Crenshaw hate, and there's a lot of legitimate, you know, reasons and stuff. But there's also other things, like for the state of Texas, that he's done that are really, really great. So I do hesitate, even like Cornyn, like I hesitate to, I used to just go off and be mad about shit when I was a little bit younger. And now that I'm a little bit older and like I've kind of been around this game for longer and I know people involved in stuff, and whether it's on the, you know, analyst or talk show side, or whether it's on the actual like politician side and staffers and analysts and stuff, I do have a little bit more tolerance or like patience with them for some of these things. Even Cruz sometimes, like, people will be like, how the fuck did he vote for this bill or not? And Rand Paul, you know, they'll be like, what? And it's like, well, I do have more kind of, like I said, patience and understanding for the fact that there are concessions that have to be made in order to get other things. That there, I mean, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Like it is, like you said earlier, how the sausage is made. So there are going to have to be some give and takes and whatever. And so I try to, when I see something that looks like really like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? I try to look at it and go, wait, there's got to be something more to this. And usually I find it, what it was and why, or why they voted against something. Like at first there was like some Israel measure that Crenshaw and Cruz were both against. And then when I looked at it, it was like, oh, because they tagged on all this other bullshit that has nothing to do with Israel. Yeah. That's what they were opposing, not the support of the declaration of it, like towards Israel or in support of Israel. So I do try to look, but like Crenshaw has been a disappointment in a lot of ways nationally. There's still been stuff he's done in state that's been good. So, you know, it's just one of those things. But at the same time, I look at who could be his replacement and go, fuck no. They'll be worse. They'll be way worse.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so...
Well, with Cornyn, same thing with Cornyn. Do we want Beto instead of Cornyn?
No.
No.
Although, I think Beto would probably survive like 5 minutes before he had to go home to Texas and they just killed him.
But you know what I mean? Like, so you have to look at that the same way that people say you have to hold your nose and ignore the other shit and vote Trump. Well, you got to look at all this stuff too when you're looking at your state representatives, whether it's like U.S. Senate and U.S. congressmen, or whether it's state Senate, state congressmen. Like, you've got to look at that stuff too. Because what is the alternative? Who are the people that are trying to oust them? And how are they and what would they represent and do? And that's like with Cornyn, it's seriously, I know that initially Beto challenged Ted Cruz, but the other seat he could challenge is Cornyn. I'll still take Cornyn any fucking day over the furry. I just will.
The furry. I almost forgot about that. But yeah, no, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, you know, I'm kind of the same mindset as you. That's why when everybody was throwing a fit over McCarthy, I'm like, look, we control 1/2 of 1/3 of our government. What exactly did you expect the guy to be able to do? But when you've got somebody like Langford going and doing the talk show circuit, not only locally but nationally, saying, well, that's not even in the final bill, and you guys will see once it gets released. And everybody's like, okay, cool, we'll just wait and see when the bill comes out. Then the bill comes out and it's fucking in there, and I'm like, what the hell? Did you just assume nobody was going to take the time to read it? I mean, it wasn't like Obamacare. It wasn't 2,500 pages. Yes, I read the entire, 376 pages, I think. So
he shot himself in the dick. He shot himself in the dick for sure.
It was a slog, but it wasn't like Obamacare slog. And yes,
right. It wasn't thousands.
Yeah, and some of the stuff was buried towards the end, and that's what I kept trying to tell everybody. I was like, how much of this did you actually read? I mean, because he was putting out all over, K4 ran a story of his that some unnamed political pundit was trying to destroy his life because he backed his bill. And so, of course, me being me, logged in on my professional profile, started commenting on KFR, and I was like, did anybody that's commenting on this thing ever actually read this? Because it's like 376 pages of trash. And then all I kept getting back was, well, obviously you didn't read it, so I started showing them, the sections. And there was so much activity, and keep in mind, this is probably like the first time in 2 or 3 years I've been on their actual Facebook page. There was so much back and forth on that one post that I was like a top fan by the next day. Because they just kept coming back, and I was like, you want to keep feeding quarters in the dick punch machine?
You want to do this? You want to do this? You want to do this?
You want to keep feeding quarters into the dick punch machine? Who am I to tell you no? But here's more proof that you didn't read this shit.
But I will say that, like, it's super disappointing. Everybody should call him out, all that kind of thing. But we do have to, and I know it sucks, we don't want to settle, but we do in politics have to pick our poison. And what's the alternative going to be? What is the counterpoint? And maybe it's another conservative. Maybe it won't matter. They won't ever even consider a Democrat. But even some of those other conservatives, supposedly, or Republicans, supposedly, you have to look at them. I mean, they might do shit or worse. It's just...
Well, I mean, it's just like, look at what just happened in the Bronx. They ousted Santos for being a weirdo. And everybody just assumed that because, everything that's going on in New York, that it was going to be a lock. And there was a beatdown in the Bronx. And the dude that originally lost the seat to Santos just won it back. And the scariest thing about this, and this is the part that I don't know why we don't capitalize on things like this, because I listened to this woman give interview after interview after interview. She's a person who came to America, did it the right way. She immigrated properly. She's a legal citizen now, and she's trying to run for office. And the Democrats picked the old white guy, and nobody said anything. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm confused. I thought you guys were the party of diversity. What didn't she like? I get it. They feel like they got. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. Finish your thing.
I was going to say, because Gene's more familiar with the area, and he and I have talked a lot about it. And he's like, you don't understand how much the people there have lost faith in the Republican Party after they found everything out that came after this guy. So this seat will probably stay blue for a while. He said, and he's like, despite what the media is saying, it's not really going to be because everybody's like, oh, here's the left's path to victory in 2024, and I'm like, I don't really think so.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, like, on the flip side, we like it when we've got this thing going on, but on the flip side, look at the Fetterman situation. There are a shit ton of people that are like, what the fuck? And all of us are like, base Fetterman, let's fucking go. And they're like, the hell? This is not what we voted for. This is not what we thought, because we thought you were going to stand far left with the squad.
Yeah.
And that's who campaigned for you. That's who got you elected. That's what the deal was. And instead, you're actually way closer to at least the middle ground but even right-leaning in some regards that they don't like and are uncomfortable with.
Dude, he's more conservative than Oz. That's the scary part. Now that
100%. I actually was going to say that. I was going to say Oz was right MAGA, but that doesn't necessarily translate into actually conservative right. And Fetterman has been more conservative right than I think Oz would have been.
Yeah. And I have
at least on how he's speaking out and being public.
Yeah, I mean, he still votes the caucus a lot, but the fact that he's actually standing up and saying the things that need to be said, and actually making more sense than Biden.
Take a Fetterman over an Omar, over a Pelosi.
No, exactly. Because at least he's. I mean, it's weird for me to say this, and but I'm going to say it. At least he's being honest. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if there was a software update or what happened between brain and mouth for this dude.
I know,
but it's just been kind of an amazing transition to watch because he went.
Well, and I've actually been like, I'm giving him all the props because I think what's really cool about it is like. He knows there's some of this that's unpopular with his base, and he doesn't give a fuck because it's what he stands for. It's what his principles are. And I can't even believe I'm saying this based on what we saw last year.
Dude, did you see
that?
Did you see the video of him? Like, he's got protesters standing outside of his house. Dude is in the window waving an Israel flag.
Yep.
I was like, oh my God.
They're threatening to kill him.
And he's like, fuck you, I'm still waiting for the Israel
And he's
flag.
like, bring it. I'm right out in the open. Sniper my ass. I don't give a shit. Fuck you. It's incredible. And so even though I don't agree with him on everything, and I know he votes like Democrat 99% of the time or whatever, I have so much respect for the fact that he has just held his ground on various issues that have been... And to me, they shouldn't be conservative issues. They are logical, rational, human being issues. And that's what we've always tried to say, right? Is that like a lot of these conservative ideals and principles appeal to the common regular man because they just make sense in the rational realm of living. And so he is going along with that and going, yeah, no, this makes sense.
And then my other favorite Fetterman moment of recent history was he's like walking through the Senate rotunda, and of course there's like protesters there screaming, Hamas, blah 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 blah, and they stop him and start talking to him, and he's just like, whatever, dude, I have a vote to get to. I'm about to vote to expel Hamas. You have a great day. I was like, oh my God.
No, I know, so great, so great, and he's like zero fucks. He walks around zero fucks. And I'm like, I don't know. I went from being like this vegetable can't be elected to holy shit, I'm so glad you were elected and that you're actually like infusing some sort of reason into the Democratic Party and into the public and like standing on principle and being a badass. Like even though I don't agree with a lot of your stances, there are a lot of them that I do. And then it's cool to watch you walk in your shit. Like you're just walking in it and saying it and not apologizing for it. And that's incredible. It doesn't happen anymore. They all bow down. They all
every single fucking one of them.
They all acquiesce and appease, whatever to the far left. And he's like, nope, zero fucks.
And that's the thing that pisses me off the most is even the right's starting to do it. That's why I was so pissed off at Lincoln.
I know.
I was like, dude, you lied to everybody, and you lied to everybody, and now you won't talk to anybody about the fact that you lied to everybody. And
this is go ahead.
Well, and then you 2 days before this bill comes out, the news broke that he's not planning on running for re-election because he wants to try to take over for Stitt. And I'm like, your career in Oklahoma's done, my dude. You might as well just pack up and go home.
And this is what is like, so it's just so frustrating because it's kind of that, it's the meme. You had one job.
Yeah, just one.
And you didn't have to do all of it, all the things. But you couldn't do that thing. And that's where it is like with the McCarthy stuff, right? Is that it was so infuriating because it was like, Y'all are biting off the nose to spite the face. McCarthy's not the problem here.
Well,
but you're making him the problem.
Well, they just so you know, they have figured out who the problem is. This actually played out on a live space the other night, and I have been. It's still archived, and I am trying to find the exchange. So, who was it? Gates was in it. Chip Roy was in it. And Thomas Massey was in it. And Chip Roy convinced him to come into the space, and then him and Massey Roy and Massey were just like taking turns from the top turnbuckle, just smacking the fuck out of Gates over and over and over again. And apparently he was either too drunk or too stupid.
Dude, Roy is one of the most if we're going to use the Gen Z term, based people in Congress. Like, he is just fuck. No fucks.
But yeah, I mean, everybody was talking about it, and then of course, so I get in, and by then it's already done, and then the space crashes, and then they start over, and I'm like, man, I missed the good part. Now I have to go back and find it. And I haven't been able to find it because I can't figure out when it started. But yeah, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed that. But yeah, I mean, the thing for me, and the coolest thing for me, is the one thing I will say about X being what it is now. I mean, it's still not perfect, and it's never going to be perfect. And there, he really, as I've started to call her, needs to do something about Wiffle Ball Bat Linda, because she's still doing stupid shit and
Wiffle Ball Bat Linda. Wow.
Well, it sounded better than WEF Linda in my head, because then I think of like Randy Macho Man Savage, and that's just terrible. But anyway, it's just it.
But you know what I'm saying though, that it's like McCarthy was a part of the symptoms. He's not the problem.
Yeah.
And they made him out to be the problem, and that little MAGA far right kind of little coalition, which actually isn't even really all that much coalesced anymore, with Boebert and MTG and Gates and all of them that used to all be lockstep. They're not anymore. They fought over Trump, they fought over other stuff, and they're like, they're not exactly very homogenous anymore. But him teaming up with the squad, he teams up with the squad on a regular basis. That should be the biggest red flag to all of Republicans, conservatives. Gates loves him some squad, and he loves to stir the pot, disrupt the Republican Party by teaming up with the farthest of left Democrats to get his way on the most bullshit things. And he holds the entire damn party hostage.
Well, this is the one thing that I was really kind of pissed off with McCarthy at the end, because he waited until they voted to throw him out to go to a microphone and say, "Hey, you guys know why I couldn't do the things you told me you wanted me to do, like do single item bills and things like that? Because those same 8 people that just led the charge to have me thrown out were the ones blocking it every time I tried to do it. Why the fuck?
No, absolutely.
Why didn't you tell people that?"
No, there's a lot of criticisms to be made for him, and I don't think he's in any way, shape, or form one of the most conservative lawmakers we've had. That's not the thing. But they painted him as the problem, just like they paint McConnell as the problem, and he is part of the problem. But he's not the problem. It's not him. It's all of it. And ousting one guy and leaving everything in delirious shambles was never going to be a good recipe when they had no plan of action going forward. That was the biggest problem.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Wow, we're really, really long.
We are way long. We went off.
Yeah, I was last time I looked, it was 9:55. I was like, oh, we need to wrap soon. And then I looked down, it was 10:15. I was like, I guess everybody's getting a little after the show without a subscription right now, huh?
There we go. We'll tag on a little bit of that later on when we do that.
Well, so what I'm thinking, right, because what we can do is, all we have to do is I can basically restart the feed and then drop it to subscriber only. So on nights like this where there's nothing behind us, we could do the regular hour and then go an extra 30 minutes or something, if you want to, on the nights that we can, because it doesn't have to be every week.
That'd be cool. And then also I was thinking that maybe some exclusive interviews or something.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, exclusive interviews, chopping up the cast into smaller pieces so nobody has to put up with the commercials, those kind of things, that they can kind of listen to the parts that they want. Those are all things that I was thinking about doing on mine. For mine, because I do the 2 by myself, when they sign up for one, they basically get both, because I'm not going to make people pay a subscription fee twice.
Yeah. No, that's smart, though. That's just smart.
But yeah, so just kind of think about what you think might be an acceptable rate, etc. And as far as that stuff goes, if we ever make anything off of it, since I'll know exactly what show it's coming from, it'll be a 50-50 split. So.
Well, I appreciate it, but we can put it towards the effort of the station.
Well, yeah, no, I get that, but all I'm saying is there'll be a paper trail that says this is what you've made, and then I can either send it to you or tell me what you want me to do with it. That way you have a record. Because
very cool.
At some point, when it gets big enough, you'll be able to write it off. So even
if
you do donate it back,
for sure.
You'll be like, hey, I'm kicking this back, so send me the write-off slip. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, awesome. We probably should get out of here. I was actually looking to try to find something to take us out with, but I got busy talking and kind of forgot again. So anyway.
Yeah, we got on the roll.
Yeah,
so it happens.
You know, it happens. I didn't do radio today. It was my until tonight. It was my granddaughter's birthday, so I took the day off. She's 4.
Aww.
She's 4 today. I can't.
Was it Gracie?
Yep.
Oh, sweet baby.
Yep, she is officially 4 today, and then she ran.
I can't even believe she's 4. That's insane.
Then she ran off to spend the weekend with my aunt. I was really, really sad. I'm like, what am I going to do a whole weekend without you? I almost never not see you. It's kind of sad. Anyway, and then she's like, then she looks at me, she says, but Papa, I love you, and I'll be back later. It's like, oh.
You're like, break my heart. It's fine.
She's just such a sweet little kid. And I did finally get her to record what I've been wanting her to record for forever. I just have to clean it up, and then I'm going to start mixing it into the outros, especially for the nighttime shows. Won't make much sense for the lunchtime show to do it, but... Or the late lunch show. But anyway, all right. We are getting out of here, folks. You've had us for an hour and 16 minutes and counting, commercial free, other than the opening. So you got your money's worth, especially since for now it's free. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Oh, wait. Where can people find you? They know where to find me. I say it every fucking day.
Oh, Jay Homestead. I'm all over. Whatever. Find me on Twitter.
All right. Bye, everybody.